Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive into future pandemics.
Ooh, that sounds a bit ominous.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a topic we can't ignore, right?
Absolutely.
But I promise it won't be all doom and gloom.
No, not at all.
We're going to be looking at this fascinating report called Future Pandemics, Anticipating Risks and Strengthening Global Preparedness.
And it's packed with insights.
It really is. You know, they use lessons from past pandemics.
Like the 1918 flu.
Yeah, and the HIV/AIDS crisis to show us how to prepare for the future.
And even how to potentially prevent them.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The report starts by asking, why are we even talking about future pandemics?
Right. Is this just our fate?
Are we doomed to face more of these outbreaks?
Well, the report says no, not necessarily.
Okay, good.
But it does point to three key factors that are driving this concern.
Okay, I'm listening.
The first one is environmental changes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, things like deforestation are pushing humans and wildlife closer together.
Right, so more chances for viruses to jump from animals to us.
Exactly. And then there's climate change, which is changing weather patterns.
So that means disease-carrying mosquitoes can thrive in new areas.
Exactly. It's like we're creating the perfect breeding ground for these things.
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It is, but the good news is that we can do something about it.
Okay, so that's environmental changes. What's the second factor?
Globalization and increased mobility.
Ah, yeah, we're all so interconnected now.
A virus can literally travel around the world in a matter of hours.
Think about it. You could be on a plane with someone who's sick.
And then, boom, they're on another continent spreading the virus.
Okay, so we've got environmental changes, globalization, and what's the third factor?
Rapid urbanization.
So more people living in cities.
Exactly. As cities become more densely populated, it creates the perfect environment for rapid disease transmission.
Oh, I see, because everyone's packed in close together.
Exactly. It's like a petri dish.
Okay, so that's a pretty sobering picture, but the report doesn't stop there, right?
No, it doesn't. It actually delves into lessons learned from past pandemics to help us prepare for future ones.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're not just looking ahead, they're looking back, too.
Right. They spent some time looking at the 1918 flu pandemic.
Wow. Can you imagine dealing with a pandemic without the internet or even widespread radio communication?
It was devastating, but it taught the world some important lessons.
Like what?
The importance of rapid communication during an outbreak.
Yeah, got to get the word out fast.
And also the crucial role of vaccination.
Right, vaccines are key to controlling the spread.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to the HIV/AIDS crisis.
Okay.
Totally different kind of pandemic.
With HIV/AIDS, the world learned about the power of public education.
You mean like dispelling myths and reducing stigma?
Exactly. And, of course, ensuring access to treatment and care for everyone.
No matter who they are or where they come from.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, we can't forget about the COVID-19 pandemic.
Still fresh in everyone's minds. Really underscore the importance of a swift government response and a strong healthcare system.
Couldn't agree more. We saw firsthand how critical those things are.
And the need for transparent data sharing.
Both domestically and internationally.
Yeah, having accurate information is crucial.
It helps us make informed decisions and coordinate an effective response.
Okay, so we've looked at the drivers of future pandemics and we've explored lessons from the past. What's next?
Well, now the report lays out some pretty comprehensive strategies for how we can prevent and prepare for future outbreaks.
This is where it gets really interesting.
And the first thing it emphasizes is strengthening our global surveillance systems.
Surveillance. When you say surveillance, are we talking about tracking cases or is there more to it?
It's a lot more sophisticated than you might think. Think real-time data collection on infectious diseases.
Whoa, so like a global network constantly monitoring health trends.
You got it. And using advanced analytics to identify potential threats even before they become major outbreaks.
That sounds amazing. So like an early warning system for pandemics.
Exactly. And it goes even deeper than that. It involved using genomic surveillance.
Genomic surveillance.
It allows scientists to track pathogens at the genetic level.
So they can see how viruses are mutating.
Exactly. And identify potential threats from emerging strains.
That's incredible. It's like having a team of detectives on the lookout for dangerous new viruses.
It really is. And that's just the beginning.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. The report also highlights the importance of investing in and strengthening our healthcare infrastructure.
Okay, that makes sense. But what does that actually mean?
Well, it's not just about building more hospitals. It's about having the right tools and resources in place to respond effectively to a pandemic.
So like what kind of tools and resources are we talking about?
Well, for one thing, scalable platforms for rapid vaccine development.
That's crucial. We saw with COVID-19 how quickly scientists could develop vaccines.
But then the challenge was getting them to everyone.
Yeah, equitable global access is key.
Absolutely. The report also stresses the need for robust stockpiles of personal protective equipment, or PPE.
Oh, right. Remember the early days of COVID when healthcare workers were desperately short on masks and gowns?
We can't let that happen again.
Definitely. And of course, we need to keep pushing forward with research and development.
That's right. We need to be constantly researching new antiviral and antibacterial drugs.
So we're prepared for whatever comes next.
Exactly. It's like building up our defenses, ready to fight back.
But this all sounds incredibly complex. It must take a massive coordinated effort to put all of this into place.
You're absolutely right. And that brings us to the next crucial element: robust international cooperation and strong global health policies.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We can't tackle a global pandemic without working together. But what does effective international cooperation actually look like?
Well, it's about more than just sharing information. It's about countries working together to strengthen global health governance.
Like the World Health Organization.
Exactly. We need clear protocols for responding to outbreaks, coordinating research efforts, and ensuring that resources are distributed fairly,
So vaccines and treatments should be available to everyone.
no matter where they live.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together.
A threat to one is a threat to all.
I like that. And now for something completely different. The role of technology in pandemic preparedness.
This is where things get really exciting.
I was wondering when we'd get to this. We're talking
Yeah.
about AI, machine learning, all that cutting edge stuff, right?
You got it. And the report dives deep into how these technologies are revolutionizing pandemic prevention.
I can't wait to hear more about this, but we'll have to save that for after the break.
Stay with us. All right, so we're back and ready to dive into the world of technology and how it's changing the game when it comes to pandemic preparedness.
Yeah, this is the stuff that gets me really excited. You know, AI, machine learning, all those things that sound like they're straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Well, maybe not sci-fi just yet, but the report highlights some incredible advances that are already having a huge impact.
Okay, so give me an example. How is AI being used in this fight against pandemics?
Imagine this AI algorithms that can actually predict outbreaks before they even happen.
Wait, hold on. Is that even possible? How can AI predict something like that?
It's all about the data. AI can analyze massive amounts of data from all sorts of sources:
Like what?
healthcare systems, environmental reports, even social media posts.
So it's looking for patterns and anomalies in all that data.
Exactly. And by doing that, it can identify early warning signs of an outbreak,
Okay, so let's say there's a sudden increase in people searching online for flu symptoms.
or maybe a bunch of people calling in sick to work in a specific area.
AI could pick up on those trends and alert public health officials.
Exactly. It's like having a super smart detective who can see the bigger picture before we even realize something's wrong.
That's amazing. So AI is playing a crucial role in early detection and rapid response. But is it only being used for prediction? What about developing treatments or vaccines?
It's being used for that too. AI can accelerate drug discovery by sifting through huge amounts of data to identify potential treatments and vaccines.
So it's like a super-powered research assistant.
That's a great way to put it. But AI isn't the only game changer. The report also talks about genetic engineering and synthetic biology.
Oh yeah, like CRISPR.
You got it. CRISPR is a gene editing tool that's revolutionizing a lot of fields, including medicine.
I remember hearing about it, but remind me, how could it be used for pandemic preparedness?
Well, for one thing, it could be used to develop rapid diagnostic tests.
Oh, that would be huge.
And it could also help create more targeted and effective vaccines.
Okay, so walk me through this. How would CRISPR be used to develop a new vaccine?
So CRISPR allows scientists to edit the genetic code of organisms with incredible precision.
Okay.
Imagine being able to target and disable the specific genes in a virus that make it harmful.
Whoa, that's pretty powerful.
It is, and that's the kind of power CRISPR gives us.
So with CRISPR, we could potentially engineer vaccines that are more effective
Yeah,
and have fewer side effects.
exactly. And the report also mentions synthetic vaccines.
Oh, like the mRNA vaccines that were used for COVID-19.
Those are a type of synthetic vaccine, and what makes them so revolutionary is that they can be designed and manufactured much faster than traditional vaccines.
And because they're synthetic, we don't need to grow viruses in labs, which can take a lot of time and money.
Exactly. Synthetic biology allows us to create vaccines from scratch using genetic material that codes for specific viral proteins.
It's like we're entering an era where we can actually outsmart these viruses rather than always playing catch-up.
That's the hope. But it's important to remember that all of these powerful technologies come with ethical considerations.
Right, like what? What are some of the potential downsides?
One of the biggest concerns is balancing public health surveillance with individual privacy rights.
Yeah, because the same technologies that can track disease outbreaks could also be used for mass surveillance.
Exactly. So the report raises questions about how we can use these tools responsibly without infringing on people's privacy.
It's a tough balance.
It is. Another ethical challenge is ensuring equitable access to these technologies and treatments.
Right. We saw with COVID-19 how unequal access to vaccines can prolong a pandemic and worsen global inequalities.
Exactly. So we need to be very mindful about how these technologies are developed and deployed.
It's not enough to just have the technology. We need to use it in a way that benefits everyone.
Absolutely. We need to ask ourselves, what kind of world are we creating with these technologies? How can we ensure that these advancements lead to a healthier and more just future for all?
Those are important questions, and it seems like they lead us to an even bigger question. The report focuses so much on preparing for future pandemics, but is there a way we can actually prevent them altogether?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's something the report grapples with as well. It suggests that preventing pandemics requires a fundamental shift in how we interact with the natural world.
So it's not just about having better vaccines or faster tests.
It's about looking at the root causes of pandemics. Things like deforestation, habitat encroachment, and the way we farm animals are all contributing to the emergence of new diseases.
So it's about recognizing that our health is connected to the health of the planet.
Exactly. The report argues that we need to rethink our relationship with nature and prioritize sustainable practices if we truly want to prevent future pandemics.
It sounds like a pretty big change from the way things are now.
It does. But the report argues that this kind of transformation is not only necessary, but achievable.
So it's about acknowledging that we have the power to change course and create a future where pandemics are not inevitable.
Exactly.
Okay, so what can we do? As individuals, how can we contribute to this effort?
Well, awareness is a great first step. Learn about the factors that drive pandemics, support organizations working on environmental conservation and global health, and advocate for policies that promote sustainable practices.
That's a good point. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by a topic like this, but even small actions can make a difference.
Absolutely. And remember, this isn't just about protecting ourselves from future pandemics. It's about creating a healthier and more just world for everyone.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into future pandemics. We hope you learned something new, and most importantly, that you feel empowered to make a difference. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
So we're back, and we've been talking about this report on future pandemics.
And it's been quite a journey.
It has. It's clear that this isn't just about, bracing ourselves for the next outbreak. It's about, fundamentally changing how we approach global health.
And our relationship with the planet.
Exactly. It's a call to action.
It really is.
Okay, so let's recap what we've learned.
Yeah.
We talked about how environmental changes, globalization, and rapid urbanization.
Yeah, those are all making pandemics more likely.
Right. And then we looked at past pandemics.
Like the 1918 flu.
HIV/AIDS, and of course, COVID-19.
Yeah, those taught us some valuable lessons about communication, public health infrastructure, and access to treatment.
Absolutely. And then we got into all that amazing technology.
Oh, yeah. AI predicting outbreaks and speeding up drug discovery, gene editing for vaccines.
It's mind-blowing stuff.
It is. But we also talked about the ethical side of things.
Right. We have to use this technology responsibly.
And make sure it benefits everyone.
Equity is key.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
But the report also suggests that we can actually prevent pandemics.
Not just prepare for them.
Yeah. So what would a world that's truly focused on preventing pandemics look like?
Well, the report talks about a world where we prioritize sustainable practices.
Okay.
We protect biodiversity and rethink our agricultural systems.
So it's about recognizing that our health is connected to the health of the planet.
Exactly.
It's a big shift in thinking.
It is. But the report says it's possible.
So we have the power to change course.
And create a future where pandemics are not inevitable.
Okay, so what can we do as individuals? How can we contribute to this effort?
Well, awareness is huge. Learn about these issues, support organizations working on them, and advocate for change.
That's a good point.
Right.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, but even small actions can make a difference.
Absolutely. And remember, this isn't just about protecting ourselves.
It's about creating a healthier and more just world for everyone.
That's what it's all about.
Well said. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.